All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the Housing Authority meeting to order at 10:05. First on the list is the minutes from the last meeting. Let me see if I can do my screen sharing. I tried to set it up so it would work. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope,
Penny.
that's the wrong thing. Yeah, wait.
Those are our last minutes, aren't they?
Can you, is that what you're seeing?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right. I think as usual, Richard did an incredible job. Are there any additions or corrections? No, I went through that kind of fast. Sorry. Keep forgetting. Everybody's reading. We were all here last month. That's great. All right, may I have a motion to approve the minutes? Hearing no additions or corrections.
I move to approve the minutes of November 1st. They were excellent. October 1st, whatever.
Okay, I would happily second that. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Did you raise your hand, Gary?
I did.
Okay, there we go. Great, thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda are the bills. Any bills aside from rental assistance to start with, Gary?
Yeah, we have several this month. So there is a bill for $1,239 from Freeman Law Group, and this is related to the Freeman Avenue property. I'm not sure why. I think some of it must be some historical stuff as well that we had lingering left over, but the bulk of it is from Freeman Avenue. $1,239.
I move we pay Freeman Law $1,239 for work related to the Freeman Avenue property.
I second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
We have two bills. Maybe it would be better to take them separately. Two bills from the CDP in their role as the technical coordinator for housing. The first one is for I'll start with the first one, $487.50, and that is for September.
I would move we pay the CDP $487.50 for their September housing specialist services.
Excellent.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Oh, I shouldn't say that. You should say that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
My apologies. And the second one is for $87.50.
Did you say that again, Gary?
I'm sorry, I'm going to double check the figure that I wrote down. I think it's $787.50. And that is for October. I'm sorry, can I start again?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go back and forth between these without printing them. The $487 is the invoice for sorry. September is $787.50, and October is $487.50. So do we need to do that again, Elaine?
Sure. I'll move that.
I hope we correct the September number from 487 to 787.
Yes,
Okay,
that's good. Okay.
and
so
then the October number to $487.50.
Okay, so we need a motion for October then.
Yeah.
So moved. Is there a second? Second?
Second,
Okay, any more discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Great,
Elaine,
yes,
do you want to entertain a motion? I guess we should have to pass the contract first before we have the,
right. That's
Motion to
that's
pay.
further down on the agenda.
HVC. So then I think the only thing we have left is the rental assistance, which as far as I know has not changed, and that would be $1,997.
Gary, I would like to speak to that, please.
Sure. Well, let's, you know what? Let's make a motion and second and then speak to it, or will it change?
It will change.
Okay, fine.
It has the potential of changing.
Okay, go ahead.
In the spring, when the pandemic kind of broke, first, let me say this. We have now 5 recipients in the amount, Gary, you just mentioned of $1,997. The Parkington tenant, the Kelly tenant, the Frisco tenant, the Wolf tenant, and the Community Housing Resource tenant. That's 1997. One of them, the CHR tenant, is technically coming to the end of the 3-year period.
Oh, all right.
But due to the pandemic, the whole financial situation of this person has changed, not the least of which was the reliable summer work that carried her through didn't exist this year. So what we did in the spring is we arrived at this number. It was actually $2,397 for a time, and then we lost the tenant. And it got to $1,997. We decided to approve to pay these payments through October. And last month, we didn't reconsider anything. We just voted the November payments. So we're all up to date and there's no problem. I think my question is this: should we look at these 5 tenants going forward because of the sort of precarious nature of things right now, and approve them for, say, 3 or 4 months looking ahead? So for December, January, February, or December, January, February, March, something like that. So that's why I asked to interrupt your motion, so that the motion may be different, but we want to discuss that before we do anything.
Okay, so Richard, are you sort of recommending that we think about extending the 5 we have for
Yeah, I am.
for a
3
period of
more months.
time?
I talked with Maggie. I reviewed the 5 with her. I don't want to go into each and every one of them unless there are kind of specific questions, but all of these people continue to be in need, and aside from the CHR one, are still within the framework. But I think with the pandemic, our framework has become, has become a little bit more flexible.
Mhm.
So I'm recommending these 5 people be extended December, January, February, March, let's say 4 months. So it's $1,997 for the next 4 months.
Do we have enough money to do that? We got more after town meeting, right?
Right,
Yeah.
Money,
So,
money, I don't think, is an issue here.
okay.
And actually, I Gary and Elaine, I think, would back me here that the 1997 number that we've been carrying has been one of our smaller numbers for a period of time.
I just wanted to make sure that approving that wouldn't make it impossible for us to approve other people who I still think might be coming down the line. I'm sort of surprised that that hasn't happened yet.
Well, that's
But
my next point, but but I think we should. There are two people, I've talked with Maggie about this. There are two people. I think the best way to put it is in the wings, but there's a lot that can happen with them, either to bring them to us or not. It's a lot that has to happen. So it's, there are at least two cases that I know of that are on the horizon, so to speak.
no, I think it's a good idea to approve these people for an extended period. I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to cut other people out, but if it's not, then I'm in favor of it. And so is Bill.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I don't, nobody has the, you know, the crystal ball, but I agree with you, Mia. I think there, you know, there are going to be other folks in need.
Yeah. Right now, in talking to Homeless Prevention Council, Homeless Prevention Council and HAC and Hetch, I think, are all doing a good job of using the federal or the state monies that have come to be helping people, you know, that are the COVID affected, you know, rather than all the regular rental assistance clients. So that may be why we haven't had too much
Right,
activity yet.
exactly.
I have, I guess, two questions. Do we have the start date? I never see the start date, Richard, on these people. So I'm not sure how long we have been providing the assistance to some of these folks. And is there a time in which we want to review it? Because I think effectively it's become institutionalized for some of them.
We have, I'm trying to, okay, Gary, the,
So the John Kelly one started when?
hold on,
Okay, I'm sorry.
July 2018.
2018, wow. Okay,
Okay, the CHR one was February 2018.
okay,
So that's the point. That's the one that in February 21 would have done the 3 years. That's the one where, okay. The Wolf one was August 18. The other CHR one is the one we don't have anymore.
right,
The Frisco one was in March of 19,
okay,
and the Parkington one, I don't have that on this piece of paper. We just approved that in the spring.
relatively soon.
Yeah.
So the two,
We have the dates on all of them.
Yeah.
And only the CHR one for $300 is due in February. So we would be extending that person actually a month. And it gives us time and gives homeless prevention time to evaluate what's going on there.
okay. I just recall that we used to have a time limit. Of course, we used to have an extended
Yeah,
treatment plan that we would transition them to, but if we think that the money that we have in the town vote recently
right.
is fluid, that we can move it between the emergency assistance and the standard assistance, and I don't think there's any problem with it, what you're suggesting. If we think it's not so fluid, then we might want to move some of these people to the emergency, especially since they've been on for a while. And is there, I don't know the answer to this, but you know, is there a time limit? Should there be a time limit?
Well, our traditional time limit has been a maximum of 3 years.
Well, that's why I'm mentioning it, because this person is coming up to,
Right. That's why Richard brought it up.
right, so,
Right. But as he said, we have extended people when their circumstances have.
right, I'm not advocating taking them off, I'm just saying we should manage it in such a way and look at it. So Richard, if you just provided that list to me when you do the minutes with the dates on it, each.
I will, Gary, I'll make I'll send you a separate email so that.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine.
remains
And then I can pay it accordingly.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
I'm inclined to sort of say that I don't think we can have a good concept of time limits until the pandemic is effectively over as well, because we no longer have the ability to measure people by normal standards. You've had this amount of time to find this kind of work. Now it's like nobody is really able to find
Oh,
anything at any time.
I'm sorry. Hold on just a second.
Mia, I agree with you. And
Robin,
I mean,
I think that's your.
kind of well, in my head, one of our primary goals is to keep people in housing.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's as simple as that, and this does that. Now,
Exactly.
we're at $2,000 a month right now, times 24 months, times 12 months is $24,000. And I think the package we got at town meeting called for 165,000 in regular rental assistance.
Mhm.
So, you know, 3 years of $24,000 is $72,000, and you know, I think we're in good shape on that. Gary's point is well taken, though. The fluidity of this as we move forward, you know, I think will be helpful for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just looking at the next 3 or 4 months, and you know, the fact that HPC can say to these people, okay, you know, the money is there for the next 4 months. That also takes a stress out of their lives for a bit too.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to approve them for an extended period at this point, especially because it's going to be winter.
Yeah,
Yeah, and looking at the dates that you just gave Richard, it's just that one client that, you know, will be over the 3 years. The next one that would come up is July.
right.
So I don't know if we feel like we could extend this through June, which would give HPC plenty of time to, because hopefully some of that summer work will be back
Yes.
this summer. So, and everybody's,
June. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, that's fine with me. I'm happy with that, and I do want to say that you know, I did spend some time with Maggie on these folks, and you know, they're 5 different individuals, 5 different households, so they're all a little bit different, but all remain in need.
Mhm.
So do you want me to? I move that we approve and pay rental assistance for our 5 current clients through June of 2021.
I second that.
Wait, I was going to say that's a lot. I was going to suggest through the end of the year and reevaluate. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Do you think there's no chance of any change in their status? Richard, is that what you're saying?
In the current situation, Gary, I don't see, I mean, I don't see things changing here. Neither does Maggie.
Okay.
You know, save the client we lost, who went on to better things, you know, this past spring. You know, something like that can happen. It always can, but you don't know. No way to know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea. Everybody, HPC is working so hard. It gives a little more time for them to really, you know, look ahead and prepare people if possible. And we do have the money, so I think it makes a lot of sense. So it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Somebody's here whenever you're done.
Okay.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
I think it's too long.
Okay, now we still have to, I think we still do need to approve the December rental assistance. Because we'll still approve every month.
Didn't we, wait, didn't we just do that, Elaine?
Oh, my motion said we vote to approve and pay.
Yes, we would no longer do the monthly
So
approvals,
you
right? That's
wouldn't,
the whole
that's my
idea.
point, Elaine, is that you're no longer,
Oh, I heard it as just approving to extend them. I mean, it could-
Let's do two separate motions, then people might feel more comfortable that. Okay, I move that we, how's about this? I move that we extend our 5 current clients' rental assistance through June of 2021. That's motion number 1. Just move that they be extended through that. Then I'll make a second motion as to how we pay it.
is there a second to Richard's new motion? Mia, any more discussion on
we
that?
did vote, we did actually vote on the previous motion, so.
Well, are you willing to rescind that?
I
motion?
rescind the motion. I withdraw
Okay,
the
thank
motion.
you.
Okay. So any more discussion on the current motion? All in favor? Aye.
All right, my second motion is that I move that Housing Authority pay the rental assistance for December, January, and February.
But you don't want to pay it ahead of time.
No, month at a time, each month,
Right.
monthly for December, January, and February.
But we wouldn't vote to approve during each meeting, you're saying. We're approving the payments now.
I think it's still a good idea to do it month by
And
month.
that's
Okay.
what I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, then I'm not clear on what this motion would accomplish. If we're still gonna vote month by month.
you're right. You're right. But we got their status squared away.
I don't have any problem extending it.
All right,
It's
so
just
we'll-
what's the
I
payment
move,
cycle?
I move we pay the December rental assistance.
Second,
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Sorry about that, but I'm glad we did it.
no, you had the right idea. That was just confusing.
All right. Well, then that brings us to our agreement with Homeless Prevention Council. Our contract, our agreement with them ended at the end of October, I think. So we asked them to do an extended agreement that included both the rental assistance program, which we're calling RAP, Rental Assistance Program, and our Emergency Housing Assistance Program, the EHA, those monies that were voted at town meeting. And I did send you the agreement. Bridget didn't get to update it yet to include the figure for RAP, Gary.
So
But I think we can still discuss and, hopefully approve their proposal. I can try bringing it up. It's long. Let me see.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Are people seeing this? Okay, so the first part of their agreement is for the regular rental assistance program, providing all the services they have for the past year for November through October 2021. And they did not put the figure in, which we have been paying them $5,000 every year. So I did ask them to include that and send another version of it, but I hadn't gotten it prior to our meeting. So I'm just going to check and see if anything more's come in. Okay. Okay, well, and so then the expanded services cover the money that was voted at town meeting for emergency housing assistance. And their proposal for doing that is $93.75 per household per month per client. We went back and forth about whether to pay a flat fee, and because, an administration fee upfront, but because we don't really know how many people might end up taking advantage of this. Gary and I, in discussion with homeless prevention, decided this was the best way, but we did offer $1,000 for them to start the marketing of it and getting it out there. The difference is with our regular rental assistance program, we pay the landlords every month. With the emergency housing assistance, homeless prevention is going to pay and then bill us, and we will reimburse them, because that way they can respond more quickly, since this is emergency assistance. Any questions?
Elaine,
Yes.
did you clarify that they were going to do the IRS forms, the W-9s?
They will do the W-9s for the emergency.
Right, and does it say that here?
No, it doesn't, but I don't know that needs to be in here. I think that could be considered part of what the process is, but we could ask them to include that if you want. It says HPC will manage all documents and provide to the town of Wellfleet upon request.
Okay.
I would think that covers it.
Okay.
Okay.
And are we going to run these past Mike Travato first?
Well, I think
before
we
we
can.
pay the money, or?
I'd suggest that we approve it pending review by the town, by the assistant town administrator. He did ask to see the contract we had with HPC, so I do think we should do that, but to get it up and running, I'd hate to have to bring this back again next month.
Right.
Yeah, but pending any additions or any adjustments from the town, do we feel okay about that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's definitely time to get this out there and up and running. Other towns have not had a lot of takers so far because of the other monies that are available, which is a good thing. But I think we are facing a very challenging winter ahead.
Elaine,
Yeah.
what are you asking us to do here?
Well, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement for rental assistance and emergency housing assistance with Homeless Prevention Council, pending positive review or amendments by
town officials?
town officials.
So moved.
I second that motion.
Okay. Any more discussion on that?
Hold on.
Oops. Don't see Sarah yet.
Biff has left the meeting. He had enough.
Sasha's sleeping through this one.
Elaine, so a motion to approve the agreement between Homeless Prevention Council and Wellfleet Housing Authority on regular rental assistance and emergency housing assistance pending review by town officials.
Sounds good.
And I seconded it.
Yep. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Great. Good work getting that all worked out, Gary. Okay, we also have coming up, but it didn't come to us in time this morning, is the renewal of our contract with the Community Development Partnership for another year of their services. As far as we know, they're willing to keep up the same terms, but it needed to go up a little higher up the chain there, and that hasn't happened yet. So,
Elaine,
yeah,
after our meeting started, we received an email that says
yeah,
Anna's trying to get it to us.
yeah.
So
Well, let me tell her.
do you want me to respond to this, or you are?
Yeah, if you could just let her know we're meeting now, and we'll probably be done 11:15. I don't think it'd be a big problem to wait unless we feel confident enough to approve the concept, but it may change. I know that.
I don't think we can approve it.
Right, yep. So we'll see if we get anything.
Elaine, we could also, I mean, if time is of the essence here in any way, we could also have a quick Zoom meeting for just this one purpose, some point in November. No?
We could, or I think, it would be fine to wait until December 2 for
Okay.
this.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about the previous motion?
Mhm.
Did we actually approve the disbursement of any funds by approving those agreements? Or should we do that separately, or should we wait till we see if it goes through town, the town manager?
I guess, we approved the contract that has amounts in it.
The only amount, Gary, I don't know about this, but from what was said, I understood this to mean that if it was approved by us and the town, as a part of that, there's the $1,000 kind of startup thing, and the rest is billed. Am I misunderstanding that?
Well, no, you are correct. So there would be the approval to pay them $1,000 now. And
Right.
the second one, I believe December is when we pay them the $5,000.
Well, it actually should be, it should be this month, but
That's what I'm saying is I'm trying to, did we approve the dispersal of any money to them at this time, or are we waiting and we'll take care of both of them next month? Once it goes through town review?
I think that would be the cleanest way to do it.
Makes sense.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Right, yeah. We can let them know that.
Okay,
Um,
and
Okay, so we'll have to wait on the regular housing specialist contract, but we do have a proposal from the CDP to administer both the buy down and the down payment assistance program. We're transitioning that from Karen Sonnenberg to our housing specialist services. And I think I have that. They've made what I think is a good proposal. Let me see if I can share that. I can't remember if I called it up or not. It's kind of a long, yeah. No. Sorry, that's not it, no. Okay, I think I sent it out to everyone, but I can just summarize that they're proposing for the down payment assistance program, $1,000 to administer it and $400 per review of applicant. So $1,000 to market it and $400 per review of applicant. And for the buy down program, they're proposing $2,000, $2,000 for marketing and $700 per review of applicants. It's consistent or a little less than Karen was charging us for marketing, which is huge. But she has provided them with all kinds of information. So their proposal, I think, for the big upfront costs is a little less than what we were paying. And so
I'm sorry, this is the 15-page.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so that's their proposal. Is that clear enough to everyone? We do want to plan to start marketing the buy down in mid-January, the one buy down that we can do.
A motion?
Sure, that'd be great.
A motion to approve CDP's proposal to market and administer the buy down program and the down payment program.
As
proposed.
proposed, or yeah, as proposed in there.
I second. Did you make the motion, Richard?
I said a motion to approve the proposal, CDP proposal to market and administer the buy down program and the down payment program.
I second it.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
The thing I'd say, you know what, we ought to relaunch the down payment program. I don't know if we want to do that at the same time or get the word out there that it's available to people.
Yeah, I don't know if it confuses things or. If,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, I think maybe we get the buy down out and
and
then
then
maybe follow up.
with the.
Yeah, and at the info sessions, certainly that could be made known, you know.
Is that something we're going to ask them to administer? The down payment program?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
right. So they're going to market and administer both programs.
Both programs.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what the
And
motion is.
I'm assuming that they'll give us a bill for the marketing after they do it. And for the, whether it be buy down or down payment, after they complete that work.
Mhm.
It's on a reimbursement, not an upfront basis.
Right. So this is approval to accept their agreement, for me to sign their agreement, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Great. Okay, next on the agenda is the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust. Gary and I talked with Maria Broadbent, the town administrator, about it. She asked me to contact Michael DeBasto, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, since the selectmen are going to be the appointing officials. And when I contacted Mike, he asked that we bring it to a select board meeting, which we did their last meeting, and Michael DeBosto was appointed to be the select board member to the trust. So I offered to have Gary and I meet with him to tell him what we knew, what we had found out about trusts, and to talk about getting it set up. So we hope to do that sometime next week. It's an interesting situation because the trust really does have a lot of power, and the power we've pretty much exercised over the past years has been because we were the trustees of the special legislation trust that we had. So once the new trust is set up, some of those duties could be shifted to the trust, or we can agree to really collaborate and work together. But the trust is going to be the town body that requests and can spend funds. We can still request programming and this and that and the other thing, but it'll be a bit of a change. We were talking with Laura about it too, but it is viewed as a very positive way for the town to become more invested in the work of affordable housing. So this is going to be an interesting process to get
Elaine,
up and running.
I have at least one question here. And the meeting we were at where this was discussed was also revealed a lot about bookkeeping in the town. And I'm wondering, say on a morning like this in the future where the trust exists, we vote to pay different things. Will we have a fund accounts remain with us to pay rental assistance, emergency rental assistance, CDP, Homeless Prevention Council? In short, how will the bookkeeping work with the trust, so to speak, governing a lot of the housing funds?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. And I think my understanding would be that it would be the trust voting to pay those things. If the money is, I mean, having CPC grants with funding, whether that would still come from the housing authority or if we would bring these ideas to the trust and the trust would then put it forward. Those are all the kind of details we need to work out.
Okay. So we might be adding a step to the process of paying bills.
Right.
Well, it's more than just a step. I share that concern about we're adding bureaucracy without adding a lot of value to the process. But it's really more than that, Richard, because you wouldn't, if the money was in the trust, you as the housing authority, we as the housing authority could not necessarily direct them to pay anything. I think you could make a request for them to pay and they would then consider payment of that. But the CPC grant that we just put in was to fund the trust. So the money that would go into the trust from CPC, if it's approved, would be under the purview, under the decision-making of the trustees there and not the housing authority here. And the same thing would be true for the down payment assistance and the buy down if in fact that went through the trust rather than the housing authority. So I'm trying to envision how that process would work and whether.
Me too.
Yeah, not just accounting point of view, but decision-making point of view.
Right. Who has, would we have any say any longer in rental assistance?
Right. It
right.
depends upon where that money resides and where that authority. I guess the trust could empower us to make some decisions.
Yeah, I think those are the things to work out. I agree. It's going to be a bit of a change for the housing authority. In talking with Laura, she basically reminded us that really the only work of the Housing Authority legally is to preserve and manage affordable housing, which we do not do as a housing authority. Most of what we've been doing are the powers we've had through the trust, as the trustees of the trust, to be able to spend that money and do this and do that. And it's kind of made it clearer to me why sort of the only other housing authority I ever hear about and that is at meetings is the Truro Housing Authority. All the others are the town's trust or their affordable housing committee or their local housing partnership, because in state law, the housing authority's job is really to manage and monitor units that they own. So it is going to be a change. It's going to be a shift, but you know, I would hope that we work out that we work in partnership, that, you know, especially in the beginning, most of the ideas and projects and programs would probably come through us because we're the ones with most of the knowledge, and we certainly want our representation on the trust. But the trust just really puts, I think, a lot more backing from the town into affordable housing and into, you know, being supported. But it will be a change.
Okay,
work
so the agreements we just approved with CDP and Homeless Prevention Council
Mhm.
would likely then be agreements that the trust would make
In the future,
in the future.
right?
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm trying to gain greater clarity here as to the devil's always in the details as to what the
Sure.
details should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that, I mean, the trust has to have a minimum of 5 people. Some trusts go up to 9 or 11, but I think that gets a little unwieldy. But and many trusts include not just housing people, but people with legal, financial, construction, architectural skill, knowledge. So I think it can be an interesting process building the trust. Be great to have some young people on it to be starting to take over, you know, and invest in some of the work, but I think it'll be a.
Younger than us? Wait,
Yeah,
aren't we the
yeah.
young people?
Isn't everybody younger than us?
Yeah, so I know it's a big shift, but I think it's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, I guess what I'm thinking is that this transition, I mean, we bring, or the Housing Authority, you especially, Elaine, bring a lot of history to this and a lot of activity to it that, you know, is going to get kind of redistributed.
Mhm.
And how that transition takes place is very, very important. But I'm all for moving forward here. And I, you know, I know what you're saying about, you know, these larger meetings, who's there. So anyway, okay, thank you.
Yeah. And, you know, I certainly would want to be on the trust to start with. And, you know, I would hope Gary from the partnership would. And if we want, we couldn't have anybody else from the Housing Authority on then, but we could have one other person from the partnership because Gary and I serve on the same thing. And I think you can't have more than 2 members. I'm not sure. And the terms are short to begin with. It's just a year or 2. And then in general, then the terms are 2 years, but people can be reappointed. So there's going to be some movement, you know.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Yeah.
Elaine, so now we have the trust and the Housing Authority representatives who are elected are the trustees of the trust.
Right.
Could we continue that vision?
I guess only if we became the trust.
Only, I don't,
I mean, we have to rescind the old, once.
no, I understand. Once we rescind the old trust,
Mhm,
which we're in the process of doing,
mhm.
right? And I don't know when that becomes official or not, but
Well, not until the new one's set up and we know, we have it.
okay.
We,
But-
I think, Gary, we need some kind of a founding document for the new.
Yeah, I'm asking, yes, I agree.
Right.
Richard, is these, Elaine, maybe these are the bylaws that you talked about previously. These, excuse me, would structure the organization.
Mhm.
But I'm just trying to think of a way to avoid setting up another administrative authority.
Mhm.
Gary, there are some places, I think, where the Board of Selectmen are the trustees.
Of the trust,
Right. I'm trying to remember where that was, but
right?
I could ask again.
I
So
mean,
if you're asking, could the Housing Authority have a dual role, that of Housing Authority and also the trustees of the Municipal Affordable Housing Trust? Is that your question?
Yes, pretty, and Richard, that's effectively what happens today. We are the trustees of the,
correct.
right.
Correct. Okay, I get it.
So I'm just looking at my rental assistance and trying to imagine how it's going to go in the future. I mean, can't imagine that, well, I don't know, but will the trust be involved with the administration of programs?
probably not, I would say. I think that's where we're gonna have to hammer out responsibilities. I mean, we can really set up anything that we think works.
Right, I'm just trying to envision how it would work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I tried to get more information from Mass Housing Partnership about towns that start trusts, but have had a very active group working also. And they have indicated a trust can be pretty much just fiduciary, that we would keep doing what we do and bring the request to the trust, and then they would be the ones that would approve the expenditures, but they wouldn't, but we're going to lose some of those authorities by not having our own trust that we're the trustees of anymore. We need some of those powers to be with the new trust so that everything can still keep happening. But I mean, there's a lot more protection with the new trust for buying, selling, all the things that have been that we've had to really struggle with. How do we do this? Who can help us? Blah, blah, blah. The trust has more power and ideally more support because it's a town appointed body. But most towns have worked out the trust with their local groups and their town councils.
Elaine,
Yeah,
I think, I don't know whether this is a good idea or not, but I think this is the substance of a kind of single meeting, a special meeting, where we really, I mean, we're trying to hammer out some things today that, I mean, I'm thinking of for the first time, notwithstanding the fact that I read the Orleans thing and this thing from Grafton, we are who we are, and this is going to be an important change, and I think we ought to think it through together.
mhm.
Everybody's brought up good questions that yeah, I think we need to answer and understand as we go forward. And just having it, in a larger regular housing authority meeting,
Mhm.
I think it needs more than that, but one man's opinion.
Yeah, we could potentially schedule a housing authority meeting with Michael DeVasto and possibly one of the people from Mass Housing Partnership that specializes in housing trusts.
I think
Something,
that's what we should do,
yeah.
because I'm not
Are
really
you okay
sure
with
what we're
that?
trying, because we don't really know what we want to accomplish yet before we can really vote on anything, I think we should be more clear.
Mhm.
And I think Gary's point about, administration and value is really important to understand going forward here.
Okay,
Gary, are you okay with the specific meeting to
Oh, definitely. I like the idea, Richard. I think that's a great one.
tease this out?
Right. Because even as we're talking, and I'm thinking about it, could it flow that the housing trust would empower us to administer and grant a certain amount of money for rental assistance? I'm just trying to understand the
right.
flow of that and what is, what is efficient and what is legally correct.
Mhm,
Gary, I'm just sitting here thinking we could send a bill to the trust once a month
mhm.
for like
Yeah, so, right.
25 grand to pay this, that, and the other thing, and the next month for 10 grand and put it in our,
Right. Again, I think it's just working out the details,
Right.
but I like the idea of a meeting and, we should maybe, because someone else on the select board raised the same question about definition of roles
Mhm.
and responsibilities. So
Right.
really, that's really the key. I think the other thing is we're envisioning this accountant and lawyer and housing expert, but I don't actually see the embodiment. Who is that?
yes.
That we are tapping into. So there may be people out there, but
Are the trustees going to be appointed to the trust
By the
fund board?
select board.
the trustees are,
select board.
right, we are elected or appointed by the governor, right?
Right. So, yeah, I was going to say it's kind of moot until we know whether we have 5 people that can be appointed.
Yeah.
And before they would be appointed, they would probably want to know exactly what their responsibilities are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be at all legal for it to start out being Michael DeBosto and the Housing Authority members at all, you know?
Right, that's what I was,
Yeah.
right. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, Laura was suggesting that you try to expand it and expand your support and your whatever, but I
Well,
don't know. I mean, some of those questions, we won't know how to answer them ourselves. I mean, we can kind of propose a framework, but
Do you
some of-
think it would be beneficial to invite like Alan McLennan from Orleans to a meeting like that? And he's sort of overseeing the management of
yeah.
how the 3 committees there work together. Or would it?
I know he has, I know, I mean, he's a great guy, but I think I'd rather start out with us and
Okay.
Mike and somebody from Mass Housing Partnership. I think it would be Shelley Goring, I think, who's the main person. Katie Bossy, who we've worked with on 95 Lawrence, is I think the assistant on those issues, but we could potentially get some guidance before we had to bring in town council, but I think the bylaws that get written is going to have to, be reviewed by town council.
Elaine, why don't you check on her availability?
Mhm.
And then we can schedule. I was going to throw out a potential date, but maybe we should wait. I see that we have a partnership meeting on the 19th at 4:00. We could make this the subject of that and just have a joint meeting to discuss it.
With the partnership, the Housing Authority.
Yeah, just that I have it on my calendar but all I'm saying is I think she's probably the key.
Mhm.
So maybe.
Gary, what I want to say is there are 2 sides to this as I see it. There's kind of political side that
Yeah.
Elaine's talking about with expanding, participation and the town's larger commitment and support to housing. And then the other thing we're talking about is kind of the nuts and bolts of it. How does the work that we have started and continue and been continuing work under some new kind of organization, some new kind of regime. And I think while the housing partnership is important maybe to the political side, I think there's this other side. I don't know how that would work. So you're saying that Laura is the kind of starting point?
That what is, Richard?
Laura from Mass Housing Partnership, is she the
Shelley,
Shelley?
Shelley,
Okay,
yeah. So Gary, the partnership meeting is November 19th.
Yes, at 4 o'clock. I'm just throwing it out there as a potential date, but
Yeah.
there's no magic to any date, Elaine. Why don't you check on her availability?
Mhm.
Maybe get a couple of dates and we can set it up
Yep.
with Mike DeVasto. Richard, as you were speaking, I was thinking that in the future, we may have programs that where the money goes into the housing authority and programs where the money goes into the trust. The rental assistance, because of the limitation of our old trust, went into the housing authority, right?
Well, it just was a separate grant line,
Yes, right,
supposedly, under CPC.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so in the future, would the buy down necessarily go into the trust? Does all money have to go into the trust? I don't know the answer to the question. I'm just thinking about it.
Right.
I'm with you, Gary. I don't have any of the answers, but
Mhm. Okay, well, we will try to set that up. I mean, I think, there's no hurry. We have our current trust, and until we can get this worked out, we're okay. So
Yeah.
we will work on scheduling that meeting.
thanks, Elaine.
Yeah, you bet. It's just, really the light bulb went on with me about how unusual we have actually been as a housing authority with all this, and looking at, and Truro is the only other town I know that works a lot like we do. In all the other towns, it's been a very different model for who is involved with doing the housing. And, I hope we can just draw a few more people in, instead of, to expand the support somehow. All righty. Wow. Lawrence Road update. I think last time we talked about the fact that the town wants to do the larger wastewater treatment thing. Gary and I talked with Laura. Hopefully she's going to be able to check in with the engineering services to talk about how this could be incorporated into our RFP so that it doesn't scare away developers. The town hasn't heard anything about MassWorks grant yet. Anything else, Gary?
No, theoretically, we are going to get a statement in the next 30 days or so from the consultant that we should be able to embed in our RFP to say this is how wastewater treatment will be handled for the project.
Yep, and still on track to hopefully issue the RFP in as early in March as possible.
Right.
Per Laura's recommendation. I guess under the Lawrence Road update, I could include that the committee did lose a member from the planning board when Andy Freeman went over to the ZBA. I did request just recently to the planning board chair to have another representative, but I don't know. I know last night they were talking about a CPC representative. Gary, were you or Sharon?
Yes, I did listen in, and they did appoint someone, and their next meeting, Elaine, is on the 17th.
Of November?
So if you get on the, I can't recall, Elaine,
Mhm.
is there a select board member, is there a select board member now on the 95 Lawrence Road Task Force? No.
From our
No.
discussion with Maria, it was discouraged because,
Discouraged, okay, so then I think adding somebody from the planning board would be a good idea.
mhm. Okay. who did you get for CPC?
David.
Okay, great. I think there might be some interest from one of the new members of the planning board too, so. hopefully-
Elaine, could I ask a question? I just for my clarity here of what I write down. The 95 Lawrence Road, both the water supply and the wastewater are both still being resolved in terms of, you said the house, the Board of Selectmen or the town wants the larger, I missed that somehow. I missed what you meant about the larger water project or the larger.
Not, the water project is pretty much, the town meeting vote kind of put that on a track to be
Okay.
okay.
right.
I mean, hoping that there will still be grant money, but that one's good, but it's the wastewater treatment,
And that's the larger one they want.
the septic issue.
Okay. All right, that's better. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We, speaking of the planning board, do we want to bring up AADUs again with them down the line?
We
Yeah.
can talk about that.
Yeah, I think under project updates at the end.
Oh, yeah.
We can discuss that because I didn't specifically put it on here, but it is one of our projects, so we can take it up. And get through the rest of this really quickly.
So, Richard, the larger refers to the fact that it would also combine the police station, the fire station, the school, and perhaps residents. So the larger refers to that, not the size of the system needed to support the housing.
Gary, thank you. I remember that now, and that clarifies it for me. I appreciate that.
Okay, and just to report that the Community Preservation Committee did approve our grant application to have $500,000 put into the new municipal trust once it's set up, basically for any projects involved with housing, including 95 Lawrence Road. So that'll be coming up hopefully at town meeting, it should.
But first has to go to the select board. Elaine.
But they can't take, once the CPC approves it, they can't not put it on the warrant.
That's been,
Yes.
That's the law. They can recommend it or not, but they can't.
well, we
not-
had an example this year with the cemeteries where CPC voted X and didn't the select board not recommend? I can't recall
Well,
what.
they didn't recommend it, but they can't
But
keep
they
it
did,
off the warrant.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Elaine knows the law. She jumped right in.
But, well, sometimes
Okay.
Good.
I don't.
Elaine,
understand the question.
excellent. Elaine is our legal representative. I like that.
Okay, the CPC wants every updated list of needs for housing, and we have our old list, which I started to update. We should turn it in soon, so I just tried to update it by including all the projects that we have in process in one way or another. That's number one. Number two is to continue working towards our 10% affordable housing per the state guideline. Number three is the same as we've had for a long time. Number four is about seeking community preservation funds. On number five, there's two number fives. Work with the select board to set up the municipal affordable housing trust. And then the next one, continue seeking grants and funding for the trust. Number six, the real number six on there has been on there for a long time. I don't know if we want to keep it there. Work with the Board of Selectmen to gain use of town-owned land within the National Seashore for creation of affordable housing near the senior center. Do we want to keep that in there?
Can I ask, if we take out within the National Seashore, is that any different than number 7?
Well, it's that particular piece of land we had our eyes on.
Oh, all right. I think we have determined that it can't be used for housing, Elaine. Is that,
It's never been determined. It's an impossible question to get answered, but we can.
Well, we should keep trying though. I mean, why not?
it doesn't hurt to leave it on there then?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Maybe when the trust is a town board, affordable housing will be seen as a municipal purpose.
And once we have an architect, a lawyer, a doctor, who else is going to be on the board?
Somebody from the National Seashore.
I was
That
gonna
would
say,
be, that would actually
really
be
good.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be the person to have on there.
Anyway, so shall we keep that in?
Yes.
I will renumber these. Then continue to request town-owned land for the development of community housing. Number 8 is on topic that we could actually discuss now. Assess effectiveness of AADU program in relation to moving to ADUs to create more housing options.
Do you want to discuss it now, Elaine?
Let me just finish going through and then and then the next one is working with planning board and ZBA. And then I added seek private land for development of affordable ownership and rental opportunities too, because we may end up having to do that. But yeah, let's talk about number 8. I think we want to keep that on there, right?
Yes.
We want to reword it.
Sharon and I both listened last night to the planning board meeting, for at least the portion that was about the housing related stuff. So Sharon, would you say that they basically said they don't want to do ADUs?
No.
Okay.
So I spent 4 hours with the planning board yesterday, because I went back and I listened to the entire recording of the January 22nd meeting. And so I think what we want to, the upshot of that meeting at the end of it was that they wanted to consider ADUs, but they wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be at the expense of the AADUs. And so they wanted cleanup and clarification of the bylaw or whatever, adding incentives or whatever, so that we have an operating AADU program. And that then the conversation, and then some planning board members said we should be doing these conversations simultaneously, also considering the possibility of ADUs. And I think that's what they reiterated last night.
When they went around the group and Jerry expressed an opinion that he didn't want to take it up now, and then the 4 people said the same thing, was that just not to discuss it or not to?
I think that was the cottage colony.
Well, that was cottage colony only.
Yeah, they decided we're not going to mess with cottage colonies. It's too much of a mess. But when it got to ADUs and AADUs, then they were all in favor of moving the conversation forward.
And that's when they talked about inviting housing people to a meeting when they put it on the agenda. We don't know that it's on the agenda for the meeting on November 17th.
17th, no, but Olga did ask and sent me an email, saying, let's get together and see if there's any updates. I think that would mean Mike Travato, probably, because he was the one who was really working on that.
I sent an email to Mike, which I think you saw the answer to, but he said, right, there were no changes in the bylaw. There were some things about administration of the program.
And I think we need to, maybe if we could come to the table with some ideas for incentives, for further incentives, whether it's greater tax breaks, whether it's, a low-cost loan or forgivable loan, or, I mean, that we should be brainstorming some incentives to put on the table in support of AADUs.
So Elaine, could we put this on a topic for a future meeting to invite Mike to come and talk about, how do we improve the AADU program.
Sure.
And did we, Sharon, did we get any update from the county? Or from that person, was it Beth? Is that her name?
Beth is from the county? I didn't know.
No, I
that.
don't know if she's from the county or not, but
Oh.
you were gonna check with the person who was the
Oh,
advocate.
Stephanie.
Hey,
Stephanie.
No, she never responded to my email. I think she was kind of irritated with us last year because we didn't want to override the planning board, but with the, petitioned article, but I, who knows? Well, it's been 9 months, so who knows if she's even in the same job or lives in the same state. Everything's up in the air. So no, I have not heard any more from her.
Okay.
I could try again.
All right, and Elaine, we could certainly add this to our list of CDP things, if you think.
Yes, I was going to say, I think that's an area where we could draw in them as our housing specialists to help with this, because they're very supportive of it. Yeah.
Can I just, so there's the two prongs, there's the AADU, and really showing that we're working to support that and make sure that at least all 15 of the ones that were originally granted, that we could see if we could support those, getting them, the rest of them back into the program. I don't know if it's possible. But providing enough, if we, I would like to move forward on the ADUs. Because I think we need as many tools in our toolbox as we possibly can fit. So whether either of those is going to require town meeting support, this is the time to really be kind of getting the ducks in the row for that. Because last year we came up against, oh, it's too late. So I just want to throw that out there. If we want to make any progress, then if it ends up waiting until January, then we're going to have the same issue.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have an AADU bylaw. I know it's caused a lot of headaches for people, but we do have one. If they can clean that up so that it actually works, great. And I don't see why we couldn't have that one and an ADU bylaw.
Well, I think that's the consensus, but the way that the AADU, I mean, number one, the 30% tax abatement is not really enough. This was Alfred's complaint. Is like, yeah, so what? It's not very much. So there was talk about, can we increase or even forgive taxes? That's Dave Rouse. He's always a little radical. What kind of incentives can we do? Because originally there were 15 approved registered AADUs, and now only 6 of them are registered. The others are still being lived in, but they don't qualify as AADUs.
And that would be a really interesting conversation. I mean, I know that, years ago, we did have a no interest loan program of $10,000, and we had 3 people take advantage of it. It was not a forgivable loan, and one person has already repaid their loan. And I've heard.
I know Olga was part of some loan program also.
I think she had the rehab program from CDP.
Well, but she had to rent it affordably for 15 years.
Yeah,
and
her
loan was forgiven.
One of her, yeah, she didn't have the loan that we gave out. So the fact that we have 2 people with loans they're supposed to repay kind of makes it hard to set up a forgivable loan program unless, but,
right.
Talking about, but, there was also that potential of a grant program to help illegal apartments become legal to do the work needed.
Absolutely.
And could that produce AADUs? But so I think it's, it's a good discussion because, the people that have done it and have kept up with the paperwork and the headaches of doing it deserve a lot of credit.
The 5 of them?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I know it's been a headache, and
Right.
the timelines and everything don't work perfectly.
And
But
that's part of what they keep saying needs to be fixed, is these timelines of when you need to report and when the, you know, the government issues their allowances for how much you can charge for rent, and none of those things line up in a way that makes any sense, especially for the homeowner.
It may need changing the bylaw if that's at all possible.
Well,
which-
that's what I'm saying. If there's something that needs to go to town meeting, you know, we want to, because a bylaw change would require town meeting, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. We just need to be like proactive, I guess.
I wonder if there are other programs out there in the world that we could tap into to see what kind of incentives are.
Right. So some towns have passed the ADU law.
A lot, yeah,
Yeah, but have any towns built ADUs?
yes.
That's
Well-
what I'd like to find out. Have they been successful? What are the issues that they've had with it? If it has no effect, then, I'm sorry. Sarah?
I mean, the information that we had from Stephanie was true up to that point last year.
Right.
Unfortunately, and there were some that were built. It wasn't a huge amount, but unfortunately, in the time since then, it, you know, it's not a very representative sample of time, because with the COVID going on, it sort of skews all data as far as that goes.
I
Well,
think, I think Brewster had real success with starting it. And, you know, a good number, at least a dozen or more.
Well, maybe we could reach out. Do you know some particular person in Brewster that I could call and just
Yeah.
pick their brain?
Yeah, you could start with Jill Scalise, their housing coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have their assistant town administrator, Donna Kalinick. She and Jill work hand in glove. They're
Were they
great.
the ones that came to that class that we took and they presented their Brewster?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. And they have a good planning person too, but Jill and Donna are an amazing team.
Okay, well, I'll reach out to them and maybe we could get together. Some of us, Gary, I don't know, you or whoever, we could get together with Mike Travato.
Right. I was going to say, rather than make it, I mean, why don't we put this on an agenda, as I suggested, for a future meeting, and get Mike in here to give us what's actually happening with the program now, as well as his thoughts on how to improve it. Do you want to do that as a separate group or just as part of our regular meeting, Elaine?
Well, I think maybe looking at it for our December meeting, trying to keep the agenda short, but have that
So,
focus.
I'm just thinking about timeline.
You want to
It's
do it as
not
part of your
likely that we
partnership
could get-
meeting?
I'm sorry, Elaine?
You want to do
This-
it as part of your partnership meeting on the 19th?
We could do that, but no, what I was going at is if we're thinking about something for town meeting in 2021,
Mhm.
we'd almost have to have something. But I don't think we have enough time to craft something. And then get it through planning board process and then get it to select board and get it to town meeting. What do people think?
I would suggest, this would be my thought, is that maybe you and I, Gary, meet with Mike Travato, maybe Olga would meet with us. I don't know. She's pretty interested in this. And then report to the housing meeting. I mean, it may be that there's some very simple tweaks to the bylaw. Maybe it might not be even bylaw changes. But if it's simple tweaks, then we might be able to get the planning board on board in time to actually do something at town meeting. It just kills me that it's like 6 months away and we can't, you know, and we feel already behind the 8 ball. So anyway, that would be my thought, is that we meet with Mike and we collect what information we can, and then we come back to the housing December meeting and present it.
I think we should start pushing as soon as possible. And even if we can't get it ready for Springtown meeting, then we'll have it for Fall Town meeting, because clearly this is not going to happen unless we push. So let's start pushing.
Yeah,
I feel
don't know.
bad that I kind of dropped the ball last year, but
No, that wasn't directed at you.
no, I know, but I feel, like I did, so.
Well,
Elaine, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that either the partnership could take it on as the issue and really kind of, get in there and work on it. I don't know that it has to keep coming to all the groups. I mean, I think behind the scenes legwork to get, something going is a great idea. And I do think it sounds like it could be a hard thing to get in place by spring, but there's so much going on. That's why I'm wondering if the partnership could really focus.
I don't want to speak for the partnership until I talk to them about it. So we could certainly put it on the agenda for the 19th.
Yeah,
I could ask Mike to come, and I could invite the Housing Authority to participate.
mhm.
And we,
Could I just say that
sure.
what's interesting to me is we came to this today by way of reviewing the CPC needs list.
Well, actually, yes and no, Richard. It really was that it appeared on the planning board agenda for last night.
Right.
And that's what,
No, I mean, I think this seems to me maybe not quite as complicated as the trust relationship we were talking about, but this seems to me to need some time.
yeah, I think so too.
And I kind of agree with Elaine. This is where the local housing partnership, those folks have a lot of good ideas with regard to things like this.
So,
anyway, enough said.
right. So I will invite people. I'll see if Mike is available. How about that? Start there. If he could come, and then if so, we'll make it as a principal discussion point for our meeting on the 19th.
And Gary,
Yes.
I would like to, in the housing, I'm sorry, the planning board meeting, the next planning board meeting, I think is the 17th.
Right.
So, and I think that Olga and Beth Singer are going to try to get that on the agenda.
For the 17th?
I think so. I could be wrong.
Well,
So, and as we know, the planning board kind of, I don't know. I have been on the agenda for them before and then like gotten bumped or whatever. So I kind of would like to be ready to do something whenever I get the chance, because you never know when it's going to come up again. So if I talk to these people in Brewster and we talk to Mike Travato, maybe we could have a little bit of something to take to the planning board, just to say that we're continuing conversations.
that's kind of what I mean about it not moving forward unless we keep pushing. I think it makes sense to be as prepared as possible for any opportunity, even if we have to show up to every board meeting and start talking at public comment. Just keep pushing.
Yeah, I know there's support from the new members of the select board.
Mike Devasto is big behind this.
Yeah, so it definitely belongs on our needs list.
Okay.
That's for sure.
so are you saying that you want to meet sometime before the 17th?
Me?
Yes. Is that what's the net of
I'm
your?
just saying I will call these women in Brewster and see what kind of updates I can get from them. And if they have suggestions for other people I should call and talk about, because that was one of the questions that the planning board had, is what's happening on the rest of the Cape. And, when they pass these ADU bylaws, are they getting any traction with them?
All right. So if you want to do it for the 17th, then I think it has to be outside of the partnership meeting, and we'll report back on the 19th.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
I can reach out to Mike Travato and just see if anything, and I could certainly email CDP and see if there's anything
Yeah,
that's
Okay.
going on, and have something back, you know, for like the 12th in a week.
Perfect.
And you're gonna check with the booster people as
Yeah.
well as that Stephanie person. What is
Yeah.
Stephanie's last name?
Cox.
And what was her position?
She was with
Smarter, was it Smarter?
Smarter Cape.
Yeah,
She wrote that pamphlet, The High Cost of Doing Nothing.
Right. Okay. And so we'll try and report back in a week and so are we trying to have another meeting on this or just circle back with the information?
You and I mean?
Well, I'm actually asking Elaine.
Okay.
No, I think circling back after the work you've just laid out to
Okay.
do would be good. All right,
Um,
so,
Is land on the agenda? I don't have the agenda in front of me. Is land on the
no,
agenda?
it isn't
So
specific.
could we,
It's
in
on
the
the needs
context,
list. It's on the needs list.
yes, in the context of the needs, can we touch on the land issue? So we got a list from the town of town-owned property that Sarah went through. Sorry, she isn't here to report, and said there's nothing much there.
And I've been through it.
And you've been through it and you think that that's the case. So,
Well, so, you know, what I would say is there's a couple pieces I just want to drive by, but I keep circling back to those woodlots and wondering if there's any way we can get access to them.
for everybody's benefit, where are the woodlots that you're talking about?
They're up by Fred Bell Way. They're like separated by like one privately owned lot that doesn't look like it has a building on it. No, there's a couple of separations. So the problem is they don't have any access. And I don't know.
How big
if
are they?
Oh, they're reasonable size. They're town owned. They're let me see if I can get the actual, I mean, I have the map that they're on, but it's not very,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like ballpark, are they like a couple of acres a piece or?
yeah, something like that.
Okay,
Probably similar to the 3 woodlots that the 4 houses on Old Kings Highway will go on. I mean, we have worked on it in the past, and it's pretty complicated because of its no access and
Sharon and Bruce and I went to see those like 3 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when we sat in your kitchen and went through all this stuff.
Yep.
So are they a viable idea to pursue? Elaine is shaking her head.
I'm just questioning it because of its, you know, it's kind of landlocked by sort of 2 private
Right.
places.
The other thing we have there is a question of clear title.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's part of the
Is there a question there?
No,
Oh,
they're all
because of the whole
just down
Fred
on
Bell Way
land. Yeah, need to, yeah.
That's true.
It's been a complicated issue in the past. Yeah.
So,
I just feel like, you know, everything that's left is a complicated issue.
That's right.
And so if we're ever gonna make any progress on any of it, we're gonna have to like pick 1 or 2 and just like work it and
Right.
see if we can make any progress, because otherwise we're just gonna sit back and say it's too complicated.
so we
we
have,
prioritize our goals list in numerical order. This is our number 1 and number 2, and do we do that? I mean, our goals list is just kind of,
That's
Just
the
have a-
needs list, yeah, is, you know, something we prepared long ago for the community. It's part of the thing that the community preservation has to do is receive needs lists for the different things. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're prioritized. We could certainly,
maybe we should rank them.
Mhm.
Um,
And
I have
before
another
I think that's a great idea, Mia, and I fully support it, but I just want to go, before we leave the land part of it. So we'll look into the wood lots, because what else do we got to look into? The sand lots across from the DPW, or somebody, Elaine, I think you said that they were problematic.
Well, the years ago too, and I'm not exactly sure exactly which lots you're talking about. I actually think this has to go on an agenda next month, because we're kind of digging in
Okay,
to things that
Isn't
might.
there a
So you
whole
just
question
wanna-
about whether they'll be underwater because of the Hard River project?
there's
There-
some
'cause
up
they've-
on the high side of the DPW that might be lots that we looked at.
It does seem like a whole other agenda item. I think Elaine is right.
should we wait and do this another time? The only thing here again, if it's town-owned land, if we want to get it on the agenda for the spring 2021 town meeting, it has to go through a whole review process. So if we don't have this in process in the next, I don't know, 30, 45 days, we probably don't have enough bandwidth, the time to do it. Elaine, what do you think?
Well, I don't think we can ask for land that we have no access to. No.
Yeah,
There'd have to be a lot of work done, or a legal opinion or something like that.
right.
And unless there's a pressing desire by some other group to take the land, which I don't think there probably is there?
Mia, the reason we're looking at it right now is that we have the Freeman Ave lot.
Right.
And we're hoping to package it with some other land to make it more attractive to get a developer. So it may
Oh,
be
okay.
that,
I see.
that's not a viable approach, that we just should do the Freeman Ave and see and look separately for other land.
I wonder if the
Gotcha.
wood lots abut the potential bike path.
I think so.
Elaine,
I think they do.
Elaine,
Richard,
does the needs list suffice for the CPC updated needs list? That's the item on the agenda. What has happened is the things that are on there, which are needs and are all legitimate, have spun off into several discussions. The ADU, the properties, those are separate things.
Mhm.
And my question is, what you started here with, are these our needs? Do we like this list? Right? Let's say that this is good for that. And then these other things they're going to have a life of their own, and they need a meeting of their own.
yeah, I think this needs list can suffice for the CPC's purpose, but we should, if everybody wants to take a look at it, rank it, fix some of the verbiage, add, subtract, it'd be a good thing to have. I mean,
Sure.
we sort of have that in our housing needs assessment, though. It may be, but we could compare them and see. But as a separate document, it can be a little more powerful.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds to me like the ADU thing and the properties thing need to get bumped up to the top.
Yeah, I
I'm
second
hearing.
that.
Okay,
That's
Okay.
what I'm hearing.
I can certainly rework that. If you feel like what we have on there is good, I can re-rank it and then submit it to the CPC. I think it has to go in before our next meeting, so
Our next meeting is on the 18th, Elaine.
the CPC?
Yeah.
Mhm. And that's when Mary wanted everything, or before that, right? Yeah. So if you're good with me, or if somebody else would like to take it and rank it and then send it back to me, or we're just happy with what's on there, ranking it isn't really necessary for this purpose, but I'd be happy to. Is it still there?
Elaine,
Yeah,
can I make a suggestion?
sure.
Why don't you go ahead and rank them as you think and
Mhm.
send it out, and we'll take a look at it before the 18th, and then we'll submit it to the CPC.
Okie dokie.
Sounds good.
All right, great.
Can I ask one question on your needs list? Complete projects in process. Payne Hollow, how long has that been on the list?
A long, long, long time.
And is there any progress whatsoever?
Recently, depositions were being taken from the abutters by legal, by
Okay.
Ed Malone's legal, the process. I mean, I don't know who we were talking to recently about this, and I mean, it is Ted Malone's project right now. Do we step in and say to him, you know, how are you feeling about this? What do you want to do? Do we change our concept of what potentially we want to do there? That's a discussion for sure.
I wonder, not to make the list super long, but it seems like 95 Lawrence Road and Payne Hollow are like barely the same kind of item. They are, because they're both about building housing, but like 95 Lawrence is a project that's happening and it has its own needs, and Payne Hollow is so at the other end. Should we take 95 Lawrence Road out and make it its own
Mhm.
agenda item, or is that not needs item? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good suggestion.
Yep.
Elaine,
Mhm.
rather than, I like Sharon's question, but rather than take it up on the fly,
Right. Yeah.
if we're going to make land one of the agenda items for whether it's our next meeting or a special meeting, and then as a subset under that is really the status and future of Payne Hollow.
Mhm.
And maybe we can find out some more about what the current status is.
Right. Makes sense.
All right. And I just wanted a point of information for everyone. We did hear Kings Highway that in the court isn't for another year.
Summer
August
of 2021.
Mhm.
That also is painfully slow.
All right, I think we've pretty much exhausted. Under project updates, we did want to mention the Freeman Avenue. Gary did find one of our the RFP we did for 208 State Highway. We're wondering if we can just adapt that for this purpose. But if we're going to look to get other properties prior to putting that out to bid, that's something we need to talk about, whether we want to. My thought is if we put it out as this one piece of land, if perchance Habitat was the winning proposer, there is that other piece of land they're supposed to develop that could be done at the same time. I don't know, do we want to hold Freeman Avenue up as we look for more land, or do we want to go ahead and put it out there and see what happens? But I didn't have that listed specifically, so I will put that on our next agenda more specifically, because I think it's a bigger conversation. Anything else anybody want? That's pretty much, that was a long meeting. Thank you I'm sorry we missed Sarah. I hope I didn't ignore her if she was trying to get in, but I'll check in with her. And right now our next meeting is December 3rd, depending on all the work everybody's doing. Maybe we'll have to meet before then, but I think that'll do it. All right. How's everybody doing otherwise?
Frantically refreshing the New York Times homepage.
Anything new?
Georgia is supposed to have its tally in 10 minutes. So
Okay. All
gird
right.
your loins.
Go ahead.
let me suggest that everybody go out and take a nice walk because it's about as beautiful a day as we're going to get for a while.
It is
After the Georgia tallies, I will.
so gorgeous. I'll
Yeah.
see you out there. Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Take care.
Karen.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm gonna end this meeting.